let's start the show. Here we go. This is what we remember.
Welcome to a What We Saw recording of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Is that what it's called?
I didn't know that was how it was pronounced.
Mm-hmm. If you want to be a dummy, you can say it Jedi.
Jedi.
Jedi. Jedi.
The last
Duh.
The last Jedi.
Jedi.
The last Jedi.
So we've done Force Awakens. We've done Rogue One.
We did.
And
we
we
did.
did this one.
Ragu one.
Yeah.
So
should we jump right into general consensus? What you think?
yeah, what do you think
Good,
of that Kylo
bad,
Ren topless
indifferent?
scene? What do you think of that's the big money question?
That's all I wanted to see. I wanted the whole movie to be like that.
Was it gratuitous?
Not enough.
Not
I needed
enough.
more gratuity.
I did not give a good tip at all at the end of the show. The gratuity was low.
Yeah. Not enough. Left the comment card. More gratuity next time.
Yeah. I thought it was included based on how many people I went with, but I guess not.
No, it doesn't matter. It's automatically
Yeah.
added into the bill.
I feel like I dined and dashed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I already know I'm
We're 3 weeks removed from it, 2 weeks removed from it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Andy just saw it.
I only finally.
We're gonna
just got
have
around seeing
to
it.
try to tap your brain for some of this because I
Yeah.
can't remember
Sure.
everything.
Sure, I remember every frame.
Yeah. And what hasn't
No.
been talked about, you know? The Mark Hamill milk liquid scene. I mean, everyone's talking about that.
That's okay.
That's like a big topic.
Yeah.
of
I was like, this
conversation.
movie's dumb. Then that happened. I was like, all right, sold.
He's drinking milk out of some alien titties. I'm in.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that scene. What was up with that scene?
That
He was
happened.
drinking some green goo.
It's just a reference back to the blue milk from the first one.
No, he needed to survive on the island because I'm guessing it's salt water that he's
There's
surrounded
blue
by?
milk in the first one?
Yeah.
Was that when he's with his aunt and uncle?
Oh, you guys even watch
Do you
Star Wars?
even
Like,
get
blue
Easter
milk is
eggs?
Actually-
one of those things that everyone knows
Did
about.
Easter come around and you just didn't get any eggs? Was that what happened?
It's blue milk
Maybe.
is a staple of Star Wars. This was more green milk, but I don't know.
Yeah, this was green milk, though.
This
It's
was
not blue
green
milk.
Yeah, well, I assume
Milk's
when
milk,
they
though.
Milk lemonade. Round the corner, the porgs are made.
Oh boy,
I like the porgs.
I'm on board with the porgs. I liked them.
I don't know if they just scream at Chewbacca the whole movie.
Yeah.
They're just mad at him.
That's what happens in all of them. Like Return of the Jedi had like the dude from Return of the Jedi that was like in the cockpit with Lando was like there. He yells at Lando. People just yell at each other inside the cockpit.
Are you talking about the guy that kind of looks like Mario with the double
creepy
cheeks?
double cheeks.
Oh,
double
fish,
cheeks.
fish,
Okay,
fish
yeah,
Mario.
That guy happens to be in like almost every Star Wars movie, and no one ever
gets around.
references this guy or talks about
Is
him.
he dead?
He's in
these new ones?
He's
No.
in.
He's
in-
still
he was
there?
there.
He was in
Well-
Force Awakens.
Oh.
He was in Return of the Jedi. He was in A New Hope. He
might-
was in Rogue One, I'm pretty sure.
He might
Or
not
maybe,
have made it through this
maybe
one.
not.
I don't know if he made it through this one. He was on the
I didn't
ships
even
when they
see
were
him.
in space, but I don't know if he was there when they got to the planet.
Just like how Akbar got killed off screen. He got killed off screen too.
He got,
Oh,
yep.
poor Akbar.
Akbar gone. He gone.
Why wasn't Admiral Akbar Lord Dern? That would have been cool. He would
yeah.
have sacrificed himself. That would have been good.
I don't know. I was sad that they
we
sacrificed her
got
so
durned.
quick. She was this cool character, and they're like, let's introduce you to this cool
Wait a second.
character that we can learn more about. And then, oh, by the way, she's gone.
There's a lot of
Was
things.
she a cool character, though?
I mean, she wasn't.
Didn't
you know,
she shoot her own men? I feel like people aren't talking about this. When they mutiny
Yeah.
against her, they cut away, and there's a scene where they cut back, and she shoots her own people.
They were on stun, bro.
There's no stun in Star
Okay.
Wars.
Oh my god, set
Poe-
lasers to stun.
That's Star Trek.
He literally says, stun them if you're feeling frisky. Stun
Yeah,
'em.
Stone Cold stun him.
Stone Cold
Lord
stun 'em.
Dern gave a stone cold stunner
She gave a
to
couple.
Poe.
Overall, did y'all like the movie?
I loved it.
I thought it was great.
Love is a strong word. Things
Yeah.
happened in it.
I know you didn't love it.
There were some good things, and then mostly bad things.
Mostly bad things.
Mostly boring things.
There were things that were boring. I wouldn't
I
say
was just
mostly
like,
bad.
Like they're just
though.
like it's like a tortoise and a hare, like a tortoise chasing a tortoise the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, this is boring. I want more action.
You want more Fury Road Star Wars?
Yeah, I do. I wanted more space battle thingies. the TIE fighters just give up because they're out of range.
They can't. They don't have the
They don't have
cover
the
of
range
the
of the
Star Destroyers, so they would have
Destroyers?
just gotten destroyed.
But don't
by
they have
the
like a
point
billion
defense
TIE
guns.
fighters? Don't they
Yeah,
have
I
a
guess,
couple
I guess
TIE
that
fighters?
element of it didn't quite make sense because it looked like the rebels
so
were
many.
at a huge disadvantage. I imagine these TIE fighters probably could have just taken them
I would
out.
think so.
Well, at the same, okay, this is, I don't know if this is actually still canon or not, but specifically like the Mon Calamari capital ships, which is what the main rebel ship is. They're like, they have like super strong shields. So this is like one of those things where it's like TIE fighters probably wouldn't have done much against it. They needed the capital ship guns,
Yeah.
but couldn't do anything with them.
I guess the whole force field thing is just a way to write around your story and have it last without someone getting destroyed right away.
Well, I mean, shields have always been a thing.
They have. You're
Yeah.
right. They have been in all the
'Cause
other
that's one of, like,
original
the-
trilogy
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a maximum speed that both the ships can go to. and
Yes.
neither of them can go past that.
Yeah, I mean, you got like your top speed where your engine's, you know, at the top of the rev limiter. You're like, I can't give it any more,
And
Captain.
they're equal.
I'm giving
they're,
it all
They're
she's got.
exactly equal. The Star Destroyers and their ship. It was. I didn't like that.
I guess
part.
you're
I didn't
arguing
that
like
part.
space physics in a
I
movie
wanted them
about
to be
space
like
wizards.
hidden or something, cloaked. I don't know.
did a bunch of
no,
cloak stuff,
listen, though, Brett, if you go back and watch all of the original trilogy, they're always hidden on some random planet
Yeah.
that the Empire can't find.
Let-
That's happened like three
We're-
times
Let's
already.
rehash everything. We're already rehashing everything.
No.
Let's keep rehashing things.
Give me the
more
new
stars.
stuff. Give me that new stuff.
More Death Stars. More Imperial spaceships. We got a new Snoke. He's a new Emperor. We just gotta rehash everything we
Let's-
already know
This
and have.
is Empire Strikes Back, basically. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
sorta.
our generation's Empire Strikes Back.
I don't know about that. I feel like that's
In terms,
not quite.
well,
Not quite.
It's
No,
almost
I think it
it's
is.
almost a mix of Return
Yes.
of the Jedi.
It's a
and
mix
Empire
mash.
Strikes Back.
It's a mix mash 2.5 hour film of all of these.
This
things.
I will say this 2.5 hour movie could have been 2 hours. And
I thought it was
and I wouldn't
3
have minded.
hours.
It was long. It felt like a prequel. That's where I'm coming from.
The casino felt
casino
like a
felt
prequel.
like a prequel.
The casino felt like
The
episode
casino was prequel.
the casino scene.
1. The Cropinos were quality.
I will say, if anyone, if I have any arguments
And you
about
do.
this or disputes about this, the casino sequence on
Wait,
Canto
what word
Bite.
was that?
What?
Casino?
The casino Canto Bite scene it feels like a huge tangent that didn't need to happen.
It was prequel.
It felt very prequel-y. I mean,
I thought Ewan McGregor was gonna ride up on a monster.
when they freed all the animals and they were riding around, I'm like, I'm waiting for some Gungans to pop out.
Yeah.
I didn't need that. I didn't need it. I didn't think it ruined the movie.
There could have been a Gungan at the casino. That'd have been
Yeah.
That'd have been a nice
But
cameo.
Or
but I
Binks or
didn't need it.
something.
Yeah. I felt like that whole subplot could have been
A Jar Jar Binks branded slot machine.
That
Oh
would have been
my God.
amazing.
Oh,
I bet there are some of those little like kind of references in there that people haven't caught on yet.
yeah, there has to be.
My favorite character in this whole movie is that little greedy troll man
Who keeps putting
who
coins-
keeps putting coins in the BB-8.
Do you know who voiced him?
No.
Mark Hamill
Mark
did.
Hamill
Oh,
did,
that's
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I like Benicio del Toro's character. I thought he was cool.
Okay, we have to talk about this.
Yes.
The first time you see this guy, it does not look
No.
like Benicio del Toro at
It
all.
looks like a younger CGI'd version of Benicio del Toro.
It is weird.
I didn't
He
notice this.
does not look like him whatsoever.
I thought it was a
Brett and
younger
I had the
actor
same thought.
impersonating Benicio.
Yeah, and then later I was like, oh, it is Benicio. I was like on the fence. I didn't know who that was. I
Yeah.
was like, is that Benicio del Toro
I think that's
ripoff?
Brad Pitt impersonating Benicio del Toro.
I would like to see that. That would be really interesting.
I did love that they had a quick reference. They were going to pick up this one guy. He was a master, like, safe
Locksmith
cracker.
guy.
Yeah, and it was Justin Theroux, but then they threw him out of the movie.
Yep,
Yeah.
get rid of that guy.
That plan didn't work.
This just in, you're Theroux. See what I did?
Everyone just
took
just
my joke and
exited
made
this
it better.
video. They
Yeah.
exited the video. No, I felt like the whole subplot in the casino it hurt the pacing.
Yes, and
Because you get this high tension chase on the ships.
Didn't help anybody.
Yeah, well,
It was a side quest in a video game.
Yeah. I've heard people
Yeah.
say that they thought it was dumb and it had zero consequences, but I was like, it had huge consequences, the fact that they had to do this and it failed. Because,
Well, the only so it's
So the
hard to
big-
tell what's going to happen because Canto Bight is referenced again at the very, very end of this movie with that little boy sweeping
Yeah.
the that room.
Yeah, he has force powers.
He does,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
because
forced
he
the
he
broom in
forced the
Anybody
broom
can get
into his
him?
hand.
Anybody can get him.
So
now?
it's not clear where the story's going to go more from here, but it's possible
Everybody's
that we
going to
could
have
see...
Jedi powers. Everyone's
So-
just going to get tapped into the force.
well, just because like all the Jedis got killed doesn't mean like all those kids that would have become Jedis, they're just kids hanging around that don't know like they're experiencing
Like
these
Rey.
strange feelings.
Like Rey.
They don't know what's happening.
Like Rey.
yeah.
That's Rey's storyline now. She
And
was one of those little kids.
What
Yeah.
I did want was I wanted less of those little kids during the casino stuff. I would have, and then at the end of the movie, instead of just going to the same kids we saw before, I wanted them to show different sets of kids on different planets, all telling this story of like Luke showing down with the First Order, and like they're all like whoa, whoa, and then we had the one kid walks out and forces the broom and starts sweeping, and then he's like, I want to be a Jedi. I
Yeah.
thought that would have been a more profound, like this, like you're watching this legend be born again. You're watching these like the hope theme that they keep slapping you in the face with the whole movie. I feel like it's reinforced with that.
I can
kind of
agree
ending.
with that.
I still liked what they did, but I thought it could have been more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like a certain amount of Jedi-ness in the world, and when Luke died, it like got released?
No.
No.
Well, the prequel trilogy just tells you that people are born with this.
Well, we
It's
don't
like-
listen to those.
People are
The
force sensitive
midichlorian
all the
stuff.
time. Yeah,
But I feel like there's the concept of having a balance. That's always like a theme that runs through these things.
Right,
So I
sure.
feel like when Luke dies, the balance shifts. So like force has to go somewhere. That's how I interpret.
Yeah, well, I
interpret
think
it.
here's the problem is the original
Also
trilogy.
Snoke dies too, which is a big.
Yeah,
force.
we'll get there. But the original trilogy does talk to your point, Brad, where the Force has this balance, and yes, people feel it when a powerful Force dies, and it does shift like that. But then the prequel trilogy tells you, no, there's certain people that are born with these like midichlorians that make them Jedi.
So there's always this. Well, that's and I think
So it's like one's contradicting the other.
this movie I think spoke a lot to that, where Luke is basically just like the Jedi were dumb. Basically, they're like, oh, it's a
Yeah.
balance in the Force. But when you watch those prequels, there isn't a balance. It's all light side. There's like
Yeah.
zero dark side going on, and
There
they're like,
is.
no, we have to maintain balance. And I'm like, you're not. That's not what's happening here. Like you're just being all light side
light
all the
side.
time, and that's when you have like that shift. So that's where Luke's just sort of like, this doesn't work.
Yeah,
like
it shifted
Yeah.
real hard to
Throw
the
it
dark
out.
side with Anakin.
yeah, and so yeah, like I mean, having a kid be force sensitive doesn't necessarily shift the Force one way or the other. It's just how that kid uses the Force
yeah.
determines the balance.
And there's some interesting things that happen in the prequel trilogy in terms of storyline. I mean, the movies are not good, but so in the prequel trilogy you have this Senate, and some of the Senate is made up of Jedi, and they try to infiltrate the Senate in a way to have this kind of balance. Yet there are things that happen where Samuel Jackson's character is trying to go around killing people that are pure evil, like Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious, without really going through legal processes. So
yeah,
there are some kind of dark things that even the Jedi are doing in the prequel
Yeah.
trilogy.
well, and that's another thing is that
it's a
Luke,
gray area.
Luke kind of takes that step back where he realizes that. I mean, and there's been a lot of like theory and like old canon that got thrown out with the Disney stuff that touches a lot on how like the Jedi were actually like some pretty awful people. Like they basically would kidnap kids that have force powers. They're
Yeah.
like, we can't just leave a kid with force
Yeah.
powers out. So he's ours now, and we're gonna train him.
They did
and
that with Anakin.
See ya. I mean, with Anakin, they sort of gave him the choice. They were like, "Hey, you want to come with us?"
Somewhat.
But yeah, I'm sure Qui-Gon would have taken him
I mean,
regardless.
Anakin eventually
It's
wanted
almost
to go
like he
back
had
to
no
his family.
choice.
Yeah, but like it's pretty well established that, at least in the books and stuff, that like the Jedi just take the kids that they find are forced. Like there were books dedicated to the idea of parents trying to hide their kids from the Jedi because they didn't want them taken away.
So just like Beast Wars Transformers, you guys remember this? The Decepticons and the Maximals. Every time a pod would land, it'd be a race to try to get to the pod, because once you did, you can convert whatever's in the pod to a Maximal or a Predacon.
Yep.
So just like the Jedi, we're doing this thing.
Yep.
It's like a race to get the kid to join your side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Beast Wars.
Let's go to the beginning. How did you guys feel about the whole beginning fight with the bombers? The prank call to General Hux. How did you like? This was the first polarizing issue I've come across. I thought it was funny. I liked it, but I know a lot of people. I expect Brad does not.
I don't know.
Okay,
Poe had to like charge up a speed.
I wasn't sure
boosty thing?
what he was doing.
That's the part I misstep on.
That was the same download graphic from Rogue One, and I thought he was like uploading a virus to the Empire or something.
Independence Day?
I don't know if I just missed it or whatever, but like then when it's full, he's just like, oh, punch it, and I was like, were they plotting a course? They waiting for like their Google Maps to reroute them?
Yeah, do they have to charge a booster?
I
don't remember.
I mean, the dogfighting like in like Rogue One and The Last Jedi and Force Awakens has all been a lot of fun visually. I really enjoy what they're doing shooting these scenes. So that was all a lot of fun. So I didn't really care so much that I didn't quite understand what the point was. But I thought the whole opening was like really entertaining.
Yeah, Poe needed another reason to have stalled. That's my only thing.
Yeah, I was a little confused about why it was happening.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
It was fine.
I liked like,
but the reason was flimsy to get it to go there.
Yeah,
I love that this movie had more humor than any of the other Star Wars
I know a lot of
movies.
people got really upset about the humor, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's still a very Star Warsy thing.
It
It's
is.
like,
Yeah, if you've seen the prequels, it's like nonstop comedy.
It's a little too far. That shifted the balance the other
C-3PO's
way.
head is on a
Brad.
different robot. It's turned around.
You got to maintain the balance, Brad. Between comedy and serious. I enjoyed the comedy. You have to they diffuse the tension with it a lot. And I think a lot of people were upset about it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's just
that
what
opening-
movies do nowadays too. Is
That's
undercut the tension.
Especially if you're if you know a big demographic's going to be kids.
It's one of my big part I hate about Jurassic World is that every part of the tension's undercut by a Chris Pratt joke or like a reference or something.
Yes,
It's
I would agree with you on that.
By like
bummer.
a Chris Pratt fall.
Yeah, he does a pratfall right in the middle of like a serious scene.
Right.
It's like, oh, come on, man. let us get the suspension of disbelief going here.
Yeah, let's just go.
I enjoyed the sequence where the one girl in the bomber had to go down to get all the bombs to like go she fell down to the bottom and had to get the clicker to start the bombs. But that was kind of a crazy idea because that was just like a suicide mission.
Yeah.
Right.
So many
It was
people
100%
died.
And I actually really like that. What's one of the things I really liked about Rogue One is that with a lot of Star Wars, it's very much like this war is really being fought by the important people who are all Force sensitive, and like the regular people are just sort of background fodder. And I like more of seeing regular people kind of giving their all for this cause, and like showing that just because they're not a Skywalker doesn't mean they're not significant.
Yeah.
And I really liked in Rogue One.
I think that was
essentially
the goal.
premise of that movie. It's a bunch of regular people having a regular war, basically.
Right.
It gives you that other side, and so I enjoyed that, especially in the beginning of this, where it's just a person climbs the ladder. She's like, for the rebellion, just presses that button.
I also thought there was gonna be a moment where she used the Force too, and that didn't happen. Because in Rogue One, I kept wanting that to happen as well. Like the IP man guy and his other friend. Like I thought they were gonna use the Force a few times in that movie. And when the thing's falling, I thought she was just gonna like grab it out of the thin air or something.
Right.
And be like the Force is there to like move the balance, or you never know when it's gonna show up. But
I also like
she just happens to catch
I
it.
liked that whole opening was very kind of like a pastiche of original Star Wars, where so much of like the spaceship battles were influenced by like World War I and World War II dogfight footage. And so, like this, you get like this bombing run, which is straight up just like B-17s, like in World War II, doing some bombing run over Germany, and the fighters trying to hold off the enemies. Like it felt exactly like a really good homage to the original the original idea of like that's where you get your inspiration from. So
Yeah.
like a lot of people had issues with the the technology of like dropping bombs on another starship in space seems silly, and I'm like, well,
It's fine.
don't
It's
think
cool.
too hard about that. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's just fun visually, and I think it makes a lot of sense within Star Wars. I liked, it just looked cool. The design of the ships were really cool.
And maybe if they had been missiles, I guess that would have just solved a lot of problems, but
Yeah.
dropping down, whatever.
And they made the story
Bombs.
work. I mean,
Yeah.
like it wasn't easy. Like they didn't make it just like a simple job.
Yeah, and, like, they
you had
all
to fly
died.
over, and there was like 7
Yeah.
ships that blow up on the way
You could have
to
put
it.
like little
Yeah.
like propellers on the end of the bombs, to, like
Yeah.
if you really want to be that fastidious about it. But.
So
Yeah.
but I enjoyed that.
I need to know the statistics, because this is my problem with these new Star Warsies. The Superstar Death Destroyer base in Force Awakens gets blown to bup.
Yep.
Yes.
How many people die there? Probably a lot.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
I know exactly where you're going.
And now
with
we're
this,
going with the Empire spaceships. They have a ton of Star Destroyers. They have some sort of Super Star Destroyer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a Super Star Destroyer.
Yes, they
yeah.
do.
And how many
So
super
I do have
duper
one.
How big is the Empire at this point where they're not just like
Brad,
lacked for
Brad.
resources?
Wait a second.
It's the First Order.
First order. Come
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, come on. If you're
Now
gonna take it
I
serious.
did look at a statistic that said in Star Wars: A New Hope, over 2 billion people died.
Billion with a B?
Because of that
Yes.
planet blowing up.
Ow.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
In Force Awakens, all those other planets blew up. I don't know if they were
Oh
inhabited
yeah,
or
like
not,
that's
but-
that's an absurd body count. I mean,
Yeah.
There is always kind of a weird.
Why isn't the Empire ever the underdog? Well, that's what I'm saying. The bad guys. Why do they always have the best stuff? They're always
Well, they
like,
seem like they have control over the Galactic Senate, and Emperor Palpatine.
Snoke.
Oh,
you're talking about the First
Yeah,
Order?
the,
You
these
said
the First
Empire,
Order.
Brad? Yeah,
Whatever,
okay.
they're the same
They're
thing.
not the same.
I do want to know like how they're different and how the First Order
Yeah.
rose from the Empire.
And how do they have so much sweet stuff all the time? They just lost a
This-
bunch of sweet stuff.
Yeah, no, a lot of this is, from what
It's
I
hard to
understand, it's
tell.
explained in like the comics and stuff that have been released in between. But like essentially, when the Empire fell, the galaxy split into like a bunch of different sections, and like the First Order just like immediately took over like a bunch of them, and so they just have a ton of money being generated from that.
And how many ships are going on with that Rebel Alliance? No one came to help Leia at the
Right.
end of the movie.
Yeah, that
I'm
does
really-
leave
where
a
are
lot
they
of
going?
questions
Yeah, I'm really
because,
interested in that.
first of all, the Rebel Alliance is pretty much defeated by the end of this movie. They all fit on the Millennium Falcon, which
Yeah,
is tiny.
That was one of those sense of scale things that I was not. That movie starts and there's at least a couple thousand resistance people. And by the end of that movie, there is a Millennium Falcon's worth of resistance people. And
yeah.
And we need to get down to the
Oh.
statistics of these films.
It seems
I
like
need to
pretty
know.
much all of them die.
like that's a lot of people dying. And I felt like we did get to see Rose was like mourning the loss of her sister, who was the lady on the bomber. But like, I feel like there's not a lot of people being upset by this.
Yeah.
Like especially Poe is like directly responsible for like a bunch of those shuttles getting shot up and mutinies, and they're still just sort of like, just hang out on the shuttle with us. You're fine.
What
like,
if the Rebel Alliance are the bad guys? You ever think about this?
I
No one
was
else
just
resisting
thinking
the
about
First
that
Order.
because they're
Yeah.
so small.
Yeah.
right?
But they also have been like wiped out over 6, 7, 8, 9 movies.
Right.
They keep on. They're always the underdog.
They've been slowly wiped out over 9 movies.
Let's try to think. So next, like the major points. I liked the. This is a thing I know a lot of people didn't like, but I like that like with the big ship is shooting the rebel ship. Snoke ship is shooting the rebel ship. Like the shots are like arcing through space. Again, it felt very like old timey battle-y, like naval battles, which I thought was a fun reference back to like how they were designed in
Yeah.
like the original Star Wars based on like World War II fighting. But I know a lot of people are like lasers don't do that in space. That's dumb. How did you guys feel about Leia after she got blowed up?
Why doesn't one of the Star Destroyers light speed ahead of them and turn around and go the other way to pincer them? Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
I mean, I hadn't even considered that.
Wait, say that again?
Why didn't one of the Star Destroyers
Like-
light speed ahead of the other ship to
light
come
speeds
back
up
and
and then
pincer up in
turns around
front
and
of
then
them?
comes back from the other direction. Like they're like, we can't go faster than them with outside of hyperspeed. So then they just chased them for 14 hours or whatever it was.
Empire.
There's a Star Destroyer on the
First Order.
the First
ships,
Order.
Yeah.
So you're saying they go ahead of them
Yeah.
and just kind of
Turn around.
yeah,
Mission.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Why didn't that happen?
I think because first of all, the guy that was Donald Gleason, he seemed like an idiot, and he didn't seem like he really knew what he was doing.
I don't respect the authority of the
don't
First
respect
Order.
my authority.
I don't think that they're good at their job.
No,
as good as
they're
the
not.
Empire was.
Right.
With Tarkin and all thems. They were
Yeah.
older, they were more experienced. We got a bunch of young up and
Yeah,
comers.
and they're a bunch of dummies at their
Screwing
jobs.
it
And I
up.
think that's actually, I feel like that's kind of intentional. Like,
Yeah, this movie feels like it's new versus old because all of the new main characters are like 20 something.
Ah,
yeah.
Even-
I mean, this movie's pretty explicit about
Even in
it.
the
the
First
Tarkin
Order.
About kill off the
equivalent.
old, long live the new. So, yeah, that is a very, I feel, direct
Sounds like a conscious choice.
idea. Yeah. And yeah, all these young guys just sort of being incompetent. Like, I feel the guy on the dreadnought that gets bombed, basically. I think he even makes a comment of basically just like, he's like, my ship's blowing up. I have like 4 other ships around here that don't seem to be helping. Like, he makes a quick, before he blows up, he's just like, there's like 4 other Star Destroyers here and they're not helping me. What is happening? I was like,
get it together,
he's like,
First Order.
all these idiots.
Can we talk about Luke and Rey for a little bit?
Sure.
I
the odd couple.
didn't like most of those scenes.
They were the odd couple.
They were the odd couple.
I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was fun. I don't know. What exactly didn't you like? I don't know if you can be super specific.
Why was Chewbacca just not
was just
helping?
chilling. Yeah.
he
I mean,
should have
what's he-
helped.
It's a little awkward now. He's all like, Han's
Yeah.
dead. Like, I feel like,
Should've came out and
Luke
helped some.
and Chewie are sort of like friends through a friend. So they're like, now that the shared friend is dead, they're both sort of like, well, we know each other, I guess, but we don't really hang out,
So Luke doesn't want to go. Rey wants him to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he like
Does she even, like-
passively aggressively agrees to train her
Yeah,
just
does
to
she even
show her
want
the
to be trained?
evilness
Does she
of the
even
Jedi.
suggest that she gets trained?
I think
it's his idea. Isn't
no,
it?
she's suggesting that Luke leave this planet
Yeah.
that he's on in isolation and come help.
That was her initial question was, please come just help us.
And the thing that makes Luke want to train her is her destroying a rock.
Yeah, because he
On top of the
notices
thing?
that her force power is incredibly powerful.
And that's when, and she's basically just like, hey, I have this power and I don't know how to use it or what to do with it. I could really use some help.
Yeah.
And
yet, this movie does the same thing that Empire Strikes Back does. There's no actual Jedi training. It's hard to tell like what a Jedi does when they're training, because
You want a Rocky
jumping
montage, don't
and
you?
flipping and climbing trees, is that what a Jedi does to
Yes.
train?
100%.
I thought it was very like Mr. Miyagi, like wax the car, and like
It didn't feel that
it
way to me.
indirectly becomes
Rey's just
actually
waxing
brilliant.
the Millennium
Yeah,
Falcon
yeah.
the whole film. She crane kicks Chewbacca.
That just goes to show how good the Karate Kid is.
Yeah.
Because showing one thing and proving another is what that's doing. But I didn't feel this way with this one.
Yeah.
I felt there was a lot of vignettes on this planet that he's on that don't all go together, but they're like, okay, we got this battle sequence. Let's show like a quick little snippet of Luke, and then let's go back to the battle sequence. They were kind of like ways to intercut the plot.
I don't know. That goes back to Empire Strikes Back, though, because in that one you've got Luke sitting on the swamp training with Yoda, just flipping around through trees, and then you got like the Cloud City like exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
So it's kind of direct parallel between those two, where like this stuff's all, and then Rey makes the dishes and she wants to go leave to help the friends again, just like Luke did, and she wasn't ready.
I have a question that I don't know the answer to.
Okay.
Did Luke put his coordinates in the R2 unit to be found
That's a
in the Force Awakens?
You know,
I
I
wonder.
can't remember what
I
happened.
don't
in The Force
remember well
Awakens.
enough. I mean, yeah, R2 had them.
'Cause then-
and I have to believe he would have left them there, like, specifically to, like...
Or is
like,
R2,
like, in
like-
a case of emergency number.
Yeah.
Like-
Or is R2 going against his wishes and revealing where Luke is? Because he doesn't want to be found.
right. Yeah, he
Right.
explicitly says,
So
like,
why
I plan to just live here for the rest
that
of my
movie
life.
why did
set up
R2
for him to
know
be
that?
found?
How
good
did he
question.
know?
I don't remember enough from Force Awakens.
Okay.
So, Brad, what else did you like? You sound so sad about this.
I just want everything to fit into a nice, logical ball, and I feel like it doesn't.
Okay.
I also
Well-
want clear, not motivations, but goals for Rey and Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I think
Kylo Ren, you think is flip-flopping the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of made to think Rey's flip-flopping
Yeah.
a little bit, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they end up being on whatever the side that they started on anyway.
I like that.
I did like that
when
as
he asked
well.
Rey,
Yeah.
and like Rey standing there, like there was a part of me that was genuinely like, whoa, like, is she gonna do it? Like, I was
I
actually
wanted
like,
that to
I was like,
happen. It'd be cool.
I'm genuinely not sure, and I'm surprised that the movie was able to even make me like question whether that might happen.
I also think Rey should have joined Kylo Ren because maybe they could have like solved something, and that was his point. Was like we can just burn it all down. We can
Start
start
anew.
over again.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably what they should do.
I don't know. Like, it sounds like he still intends to use the rest of the First Order to do that.
Well, she
Yeah.
could
Same
stop
way.
him from like Rey's supposed to be his moral conscience. I would think.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting because again, this goes.
They're the balance.
This goes through like Return of the Jedi, where it's that moment where like Vader's making the choice of like, oh man, like, do I serve the Emperor? Do I help my kid? And this one, it's like Kylo Ren. You're like thinking that you see Kylo Ren kind of like put in the same like a similar situation, and you're expecting that to be the choice of being like, oh man, like maybe now I redeem myself, and then like it turns out no, he was pretty sure the whole time that he was like,
Yeah, gonna
I'm
be an
taking
evil
Snoke
guy.
out, and I'm the
Yeah.
evil guy. Like that's not a question for me, really.
which was interesting because they both showed Snoke in this movie in person and killed him in this
I
movie.
loved that. I thought that was so much fun, and I thought there were way too many questions about Snoke, and I did not care. And when they were just
Yeah.
like, now he's dead, so don't worry about it. I was like,
And you know he's dead because he got Star Wars sliced in half.
and they
Yeah,
showed
if you
it.
could
It
slice
He
was-
got, he got
half-
Darth Mauled.
Yeah,
or if you
it was
fall
more
down
than
a
Darth
pit
Molly.
in Star Wars, you're dead.
Yeah.
So Phasma is dead. I would think she
I
fell
don't
down
think-
a
I
hole.
think she's got to come back.
She fell down a hole, Andy.
yeah.
Is Phasma the
Silver Stormtrooper.
Silver Stormtrooper? Yeah.
Gwendolyn Christie.
When I saw her, I completely forgot about any of her storyline in Force
I
Awakens.
feel it's kind of weird. They like really pump up Captain Phasma, but she's barely in either of
No.
these movies.
Yeah.
And, like,
Plus, like you don't even see her face in this
but
one.
I mean,
yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, like Boba Fett's in like 10 seconds of Star Wars, and he became this huge thing. So I don't know. Like I don't know if they're trying to make that.
It is
kind of
interesting
character,
though
but-
because the person that plays Boba Fett, we don't know who that is, but we do know who plays this
Oh, yeah.
stormtrooper. So it's kind of strange that they would keep a mask on this person the entire time.
right.
Why don't those red ninja stormtroopers fall in line with Kylo Ren?
Because they were
They were
sworn
dedicated to Snoke.
man. Yeah, they were dedicated to Snoke. That battle was really freaking cool.
That
I
room
loved
was
it.
cool.
Yeah, it was
The
so.
giant
It felt.
red room.
It felt extremely Kurosawa. Like it seemed exactly like when it lights on fire and that's all happening. It felt exactly like an old like Kurosawa samurai film.
Yeah.
they're having this brutal fight, and I really liked also how kind of non-elegant that whole fight was. Like the red guys were like super ninja-y, but like the fight was just like there were points where a lot of it just came down to brute force, and I really enjoyed the entire sequence of them fighting the red dudes. I liked it a lot. Brad.
And they should have joined forces at the end or something.
Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to tell if they were like paid bodyguards for Snoke and weren't a part of the First Order.
I also maybe would have liked an entire switch of like Rey being bad and Kylo being good.
That would have been interesting.
That-
and then he
yeah.
redeems her.
Yeah, there's a
that
lot
could
of
have been fun.
There's a lot of things that could have happened that were.
I don't know. I
I don't think there was
teased.
enough motivation for her to just turn evil.
I think this movie did a really good job of
Well, Luke
subverting
sets it
my
up
expectations for all that stuff.
that she is like gravitated towards evil.
Yeah. Because this movie did a really good job of making me think Kylo was thinking of switching, and then it's like, nope, he was pretty much like his whole goal was just to take Snoke out and be the number one. And then they're like, the movie makes you think like, oh man, maybe Rey really will switch with Kylo Ren, and then it's like, nope, she was good. And yeah, I think overall, that was effective, at least in terms of I believed it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a Star Wars movie where everything is usually painted very good and bad, I thought that was a lot of fun. So I did enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, and then another thing that we should touch on is Rey's backstory, which is
Yes.
sort of explained. It's hard to know.
It's explained
Well,
directly.
it's hard to know if if the information she's getting is
there
factual.
was like kind of
I
a
would
hint
say that it is.
that she doesn't know she can trust it. I believe that it's true, and I love the way they did it. Where he's like, they hint,
Yeah.
I still
hint.
feel
The way
They
he
hint,
said it and how she reacted to
Yes,
it makes me
yes.
think that it's true.
Yeah, where he's just
Yeah.
like
Like, you
yeah,
know this is
it's
true,
all-
and she's like, yeah, you're
The
right.
build up when he's just like, so like you know deep down who your parents are, and you're like, everyone's on the edge of the seat. He's like, they're fucking nobodies, and she's like, yeah,
They sold you for booze
they
money.
were nobody, and I was like, yes, thank you. I didn't want her to be some long lost Kenobi or the secret
Yes.
kid of Luke Skywalker. I'm like,
I will
why does
agree
everyone
with
have to
that.
be one of these special families in Star Wars? Why can't a person from nowhere become a thing like Luke did?
To even cement that more, they pay it off at the end of the film by having that little kid have force powers.
Right.
Yes,
So-
that's true. I will agree with you. And number one, I do think that it's important that she's not a part of the traditional
love
family
it.
storyline.
Yes.
I think that's great, but you're getting the information from a character that's purposely manipulating her the entire
Right.
movie. So it's hard. I can
There is the
still,
implication
what I'm
that it
saying
may not be
is
true.
I think they can still retract what they said in this movie in the next one. I think that there's room for them to
Yeah.
retract
Yeah,
all
but
of that.
they shouldn't.
I don't know if they would.
I don't think they
but
should.
I'm saying that's possible that it could happen.
I absolutely love that she is a nobody. I love it. I think that's fantastic.
She's her own Skywalker.
And maybe that's why they showed the Canobite scene, although it's way too long, just to show these orphan kids that are like basically like in prison, like riding these chocobos around.
I thought you were saying Chupacabra.
they're basically doing that, so it allows you to show these characters once more and go, oh wait, even orphans or the people that are nobody or not a Skywalker,
Right.
Like even they could have the Force and be powerful.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, and that's why I liked what they did at the end, but I thought they should have done it with more kids. Like all these kids telling each other, like in different places, all telling this legend story, and they're all getting inspired by these like the Resistance fighters. They're like, wow, how cool! And then you get to see like one of them's Force sensitive. Like these kids are still out there, and
Or if
now
it is
that
past-
story's growing.
Passed down through families. I mean, there's a whole bunch of Jedi in the prequels that could have had kids. There could be a little Windu out there. There could be a little weird hair, long thing guy.
If you go back to the prequel, there was a rule that the Jedi could not marry and have relationships.
Yeah, but come on.
The Jedi, they couldn't have
Come
attachments,
on.
so the Jedi code was hit it and quit it. Well, that was the Jedi code. It was like, you just can't be attached to
Yeah.
stuff, so as long as you don't care.
That's another
As
thing
long as you
too,
don't
because
care, you're fine.
There in the prequel trilogy, there are numerous Jedi that do not follow the code whatsoever. They might say they are, but they
Oh, yeah.
don't.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, like, that's, from what I understand, I also have not watched the Clone Wars TV series, but my understanding is that also touches on a lot of this, and I think the new series, the Star Wars Rebels series, does the same thing, where the Clone Wars especially goes into, like, there were a lot of Jedi doing a lot of bad stuff, because they knew that, like, because of their status as Jedi, they could get away with it. Mm-hmm. And, like, yeah, they didn't really care about the code, and so it does a better job of kind of showing that the Jedi aren't just this like noble altruistic force by all of them are like these great people. Like they were kind of an old establishment corrupt organization just like any other.
I also don't know the intention of doing that because it does muddy the good versus evil aspect of the whole universe of Star Wars. And it's even set up with the scene that I think Benicio del Toro is looking through some manifest, and he finds that both like rebels and the First Order are like buying illegal goods.
Yeah,
it's like maybe you're not fighting for the right side. It's like
that,
they both have.
One of the few things I did enjoy about the casino subplot was when there's specific. It was that stuff where you kind of get to see that there's like this whole other like just section of people that this conflict just doesn't matter for.
No.
Like they're rich regardless.
It does.
It does not matter to these people. For like they don't care at all because it doesn't affect them. It just makes them richer. And so
The
like,
1%.
there's this whole section of society that just isn't affected by any of this. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing where you get so wrapped up in the story of these two sides fighting each other, and then they're like,
you see this different perspective.
there's points where it really doesn't matter
it-
necessarily to some people.
And it's like, what's the reality of war is people will do anything to try and make their side win, even if it's doing illegal stuff or buying illegal weapons.
Yep, which they kind of touched on that in Rogue One too. Cassian was just sort of like, I've done some like terrible, shitty stuff in like the name of the rebellion, to like give us an upper hand on things, and sometimes
So it's definitely a theme that they're pushing with the new ones, that the rebels aren't as good as
this
you
one. I think
they
was
are.
there was a big emphasis in this movie of like anyone can fail. Like everyone in this movie essentially fails at what they were trying to do. Everyone.
Yep, Chewbacca can't eat that porg.
No, he can't eat the
That's
porg.
the big one.
Yeah, that was the
big
one
fan.
that resonated with me. I was like, wow, I felt like Chewbacca
Brad,
right
I
there.
could feel you gripping the chair when that scene happened, and I knew you
The
hated
porg
it,
was
but I
already
liked it.
cooked. He should have just taken a bite. If it had been an uncooked or
He should have taken that porg to
that
go.
porg was ready to go. That's a waste of a porg.
It is. At this point,
that
he
was-
should have just fed that porg to the porg. You want some porg?
Yeah, or feed it to a monster out in the ocean or something. But that's just a waste of a good porg.
Yeah.
It looked delicious, too.
Yeah.
But I would eat an Ewok. I'd eat most of the monsters
Yeah.
in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
People eating a bear.
I mean, there was definitely things that were questionable in this. A lot of people were upset about Leia
Not
forcing
dying.
herself back into the ship.
Why didn't
Well,
she die instead of Laura Dern?
I think that's, again, a section of this movie subverting your expectations. The audience knows that Carrie Fisher is gone.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is how they're writing her out. Nope, she's still alive. And then later they're like, now she's in a coma. Who knows if she'll make it? And you're like, that's how she's going to go. They're like, oh, now she's awake again.
also-
And they keep
Well,
being like, this is the
oh.
final... Nope, she's still here. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, she's still alive.
She's
and now
still
Luke
there.
is dead.
But
And
she
he's
has
surprised.
force powers herself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
As a Skywalker, she has force powers herself, and they
Yes.
show, like, she never shows her force powers in any of the movies, and this is
Until
the first
now.
time she's actually doing
Right.
it.
I think she has like
And-
sensory things. In
That's
the
what
last,
I've heard a lot of
in
people say.
Return
Like
of the Jedi,
her
but-
force powers always seem to be more like emotional or sensory based.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. The force is the force. How you use it is up to you. So
she senses where Luke is at the end of Empire.
I mean, it was very much in her character to not rely on it. So like she was. I thought it would have been kind of funny if like she reaches her hand out, it makes you think she's about to do something with the force for that, and then like she just like grabs like a fire extinguisher and wallies herself back into the ship. Like I
Yeah.
thought that would have been interesting. Where
she
she's
blows
like,
open that door, doesn't she? With force
Yes,
powers?
she does
Yeah.
blow open that door. They were like cutting through with something though. I don't know.
Yeah, but it explodes.
It
for
explodes
force
straight in,
power,
and then
though,
she's
yeah.
like there with the hand. So
Yeah.
she force punched that
Her
door.
face
She
does a
Falcon
really
punched
weird
it.
thing where like there's like oxygen bubbles like around her nose and face and everything. It looks
Yeah.
really weird.
I thought it looked pretty cool. I didn't have any problem with her forcing her way back into the ship, and a lot of people were like, that was
I also
dumb.
didn't really have a problem with her saving herself.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with her suddenly having force powers. I mean, there's been how many years between like Return of the Jedi and this movie, and that's like this is kind of the first time it's ever come up for her. Like, who knows what she's picked up from her brother in the intervening years.
And it's interesting. I've watched the original trilogy over the last month, and the only time that they actually imply that they're brother and sister is in Return of the Jedi, and that's the only time that that's actually a plot element. And they say at one point when Luke feels like he's like the only one to save his father, Obi-Wan goes, well, no, there is another one.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then they imply like, okay,
Yeah.
Leia's your sister, and she also has force powers, but she never really gets to use
Yeah, and I think
them.
I almost feel like there might have been a part where even the Emperor or Vader says the same thing, where he's like, "If you won't join us, we'll just get your sister to do it."
Yeah,
So there was
yeah.
always sort of like that subtext of she can do all these things too. She just chooses not to, basically. So I didn't think it was like some sort of ruining Star Wars for her to do it, and I feel like that's kind of a silly position to take for a lot of the criticism I've been hearing.
Yeah, and each one of these Star Wars movies kind of introduces a new idea.
Yeah.
And, like, if you go back to Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader never was Luke's father until they got to that scene, and they were like, there needs to be a bigger impact here. So they wrote that in way after the script was done, and they were already, like, into shooting these sequences. So they're kind of introducing, like, one new thing over the course of each one of these movies.
How did you guys feel about the hyperspace ram? That scene.
The best scene in any Star Wars film ever made.
that was
Completely agree. I'm so
Very
glad.
impressive.
I
It's the
thought
most
so many
beautiful
And
artistic thing I've ever seen in the Star
I
Wars.
would say-
I love that they
and maybe even this year.
took out the
a long
sound
time.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It made
That
it
was the most
incredible.
impressive thing.
Black and white,
It just
no sound.
dead sound. You hear like in the theater, you would hear someone be like, "Oh shit!" Like
Yeah,
I got a bunch of
we
that.
heard people
Oh.
gasp
Yeah.
basically when that
I thought,
happened.
like,
It was so cool.
I feel like it's been so long since I've just been like stunned by a piece of like CG graphics. Yeah, I feel like it's been forever since I've been like, oh wow, that was cool. This one, I was just like, that was beautiful. The way they made it, like the effect was just incredible. It looked incredible. The sound was awesome. I did see it in the Dolby Cinema, and I thought I enjoyed it a lot. But I don't know if I'll go back. My wife was like, it was too loud.
Did we see it in the Dolby Cinema?
But
Yeah, I can't remember.
The only one in Michigan is in Gratiot.
Right, I remember you talking about
They
this.
should kamikaze ships into these things. Put robots at the helm.
A lot of people were saying
And
like this is a
C-3PO.
thing, and
Could
like,
you just
why?
autopilot that?
There's all sorts of like this. A lot of it gets into kind of debating technology and tactics and stuff in
What
a
if I
universe
like-
where space
yeah.
wizards exist. But like,
I want to see more things get light speed through a planet. What happens?
yeah. And then there's
let's see it.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, they could have just
where-
showed Leia like turn on from another ship, just turn on like the
autopilot?
Yeah, the autopilot or something like that.
I was sitting there kind of like
Purple hair didn't
they
need to
can't, like,
die.
just remote control a ship. Like I feel like
C-3PO could have sacrificed
yeah, have a
himself.
droid steered it. No, at the same time,
I think C-3PO would have argued not doing that.
yeah. At the same time, it was kind of like the snap decision thing, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of like don't do this things in the software for that. So like the idea of having a droid do it, I'm really like, no, their programming literally would not let them do that. Mm-hmm. So I could see that maybe being a thing, but again, that's kind of over-explaining a universe of space wizards.
I think one thing that like weakened the overall movie is the fact that you still have these residual characters from other Star Wars movies that have to be in there, like C-3PO, R2-D2, and Chewbacca, who serve no purpose.
The
to
scene
this
with
story.
R2-D2 and Luke was great, though.
Yeah, where they run back into each other.
It's nice
finally.
seeing those
It was a good
sequences, but
reunion.
they don't add to the story.
You don't give them
Yeah.
anything to do, then they're not helpful either, like Chewbacca.
It is
Like,
a thing where
what does he
I've
do?
been enjoying.
But you add Rose to
Yeah.
the movie, it's like, okay, why don't you have that be another? Why couldn't that have been Poe? Why couldn't that have been somebody else? I don't know. Well, that we already knew.
I
maybe.
kind of liked getting
Same
rid
with
of
the
setting up a
character,
love
but-
story.
sweeping away the old stuff and bringing in
Sure.
the new stuff, and I liked Rose's character in general, and I think it is kind of an interesting dynamic because in the Force Awakens they set it up like, oh, now like Finn and Rey destined to be together, and now
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, like they're all fighting a thing together, maybe not. Who
completely
cares?
wipe that away.
Yeah, like that doesn't necessarily have to be a thing. It could still be a thing because she does like the whole looks at him when she's sitting at Rose's
but she looks
bed.
like happy.
They're
for
Yeah,
best
him.
buds.
and that's what I thought too. And I was like, another subversion where like you go in assuming that that's the story, and then you're like, oh, maybe not. It doesn't have to be. And this whole movie was sort of like, oh, maybe not, which I enjoyed.
It is hard to tell where this is going next because you have Kylo Ren, who is supposed to be the evil character now that they're up against, yet he might not be as evil as we think. I mean, I
he's
know
more
at the
just, like,
end he's like going
vengeful.
crazy, but
Yeah, he's just super.
he seems like he can be
emotional.
turned pretty easily.
Yeah, he's
if
just
he just gets his mood in order.
He kind of goes like one way or the other, and again, he's super emotional, and that's kind of what causes all his problems.
Also, his only link right now is Leia, and how are they going to use her in the third
Yeah.
movie, like next movie?
They literally said they're not writing a single scene with her in it.
Yeah.
They're not even putting a
in general,
CGI
that-
version
That's
of
his like
her.
only other attachment. Is, like, to get rid of her.
I
guess.
really like Adam Driver in general. I think he's like a
he's
phenomenal
fantastic.
actor.
like you have his number and you call him and
don't tell anyone.
you've got a date.
Don't
with
tell
him
anyone.
tonight?
Hey,
tonight after
come
the
on.
show.
Hey,
They matched on Tinder.
I wish. Did you see that? Again, not enough shirtless Adam Driver. No, he's just an amazing actor, but I really enjoy some of the touches he does.
Ooh.
Especially with
To you.
Yeah, to you and your
touching
body.
you.
with his lightsaber.
Touching
with his lightsaber.
Touching you.
I like
Sweet Adam Driver.
coming out of the prequels where you have like these absurdly choreographed lightsaber fights, and
He's just hacking wood with that thing.
Yeah, he is so brutal.
Yeah, he's
like when he gets
wood.
He is. He's
after he tries to
smashing
blow
that
Luke
thing
up,
like
and he's like, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
It's a light hammer for him.
I
He's
love
just
like
going
yeah
at it.
when he turns it on and just like stands there like I'm gonna punch you with my lightsaber. I love the contrast of that to like the original series where you get these goofy, over the top choreographed lightsaber fencing duels.
And there was even some of that when he fought Luke. When Luke had he had the two hand, like, because George Lucas always said you have to have two hands on the lightsaber or whatever.
Yeah, 'cause
That's
they're
how
like
Luke's
40 to
fighting
50
style
pounds.
was
Right,
for
yeah.
a while.
Yeah, Luke is kind
The
of very
start of that,
samurai,
yeah.
and then like Adam Driver is just very brutalistic, very like just utilitarian with how he fights, and one-handed, and it was kind of it almost felt like Luke's very samurai fighting style, like Adam Driver's kind of very like medieval, like just crusade battle kind of fighting.
Because in the original trilogy, it was written that yes, like you had to hold it with two hands because these were really heavy weapons. Like each lightsaber itself was supposed to be like 40 or 50 pounds, it's like it's hard to hold that up for a very long time and fight. And then
they threw it out the window with the prequels.
Well, they didn't quite throw it out the window. It was again like a conscious choice where he wanted to show that like the prequel trilogy is when the Jedi is in their prime, so he wants them to show that they're like super strong. You know, they have their technique is way better and more impressive. So they have better maneuver with the lightsaber in the prequel trilogy than like the new one and the original.
So going forward, past this movie, I'm curious, but I'm also worried about the direction the movies are going to go. I know, like, when Force Awakens came
10,
out...
11, and 12?
Yes. I was worried, like, when Force Awakens came out, a lot of people were upset that it was too much of a retread of A New Hope, and then this movie is very, very still kind of a retread of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but it does a whole lot of subverting and new ideas, and is very different from old Star Wars. And that's causing all this, like, I don't want to say controversy, I think that's blowing it up too much, but a lot of polarizing reactions on the film, and I think it's a cool idea, and now J.J. Abrams is coming back to do the 9th one instead, like, doing the first one. I'm almost worried that they're going to rein it in too much, and that 9 is going to be just the most generic Star Wars you could possibly have. Like,
I can't even imagine
Star
where
Warsy
they're
Star
going.
Wars, where you're just like, yep, that was gonna happen. That's how Star Wars goes.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be the people on the outer rim of the galaxy finally get the distress call from the rebels, and there's a lot more rebels than we thought.
Yeah. Now they're gonna.
And now they're all swooping in. Rey
redeems Adam Driver. Everyone's
They blow up another Death Star.
They're like,
this again.
an even bigger planet gun. What's happening? Oh no.
They're like, we are the Emperor Republic.
We even get like
first.
They couldn't even help but put a little bit of Death Star in this movie with that laser at the end. It's like, oh, come on, give up on the Death Star thing already.
Ready
We
the
destroyed
laser.
it 3 times.
Oh, something I did want to talk about was
Get rid of that thing.
Speaking of, like, we talked about the visuals of the hyperdrive ram. The visuals of that final planet battle were so cool. That's like the salt on top of the red dust.
Yes.
That made that whole scene so interesting visually. Like,
It
the
looked
speeders
beautiful.
scooping around with kicking up all the red dust. Every time the TIE fighters are shooting the ground or the big walkers are shooting, the explosions aren't just explosions. They're also all this huge clouds of this red stuff getting thrown up.
Yeah, which that whole sequence is basically just the Hoth sequence over again.
But on,
On a desert
with
or
a different
salt.
kind of planet. And visually, I thought it was very interesting. I thought
It
the
does
design
look
of the
cool
walkers
because-
were cool.
Yeah. It does look cool because they're occupying an old rebel base that no one has touched in like many years, so they're like using like old equipment that's like really crappy, and they don't know how to use it properly.
They maybe
So it's
could have
kinda fun.
saved that for the beginning of the next movie too.
Yeah.
This movie had so much in it already, and now that like they're instantly like all down on the planet.
This movie had like 6 endings.
Yeah.
I was expecting this movie to end at multiple times, and then it just kept going, and there was a new thing, and I wasn't sad about that. I was really enjoying the movie, so I was like, hey, as long as you want.
Yeah, they kept it going.
Just
but
keep going.
They could have used that for something else.
I bet they used like that salt planet so that they can, because Luke Skywalker shows up.
Yep.
And when he
Well,
walks,
Ghost
there
Luke
is
Skywalker.
no.
I did not notice.
I didn't notice that either.
My wife caught that, and I did not. She was like, "Yeah, he didn't leave footprints when he was walking in the sand." So I was like, "That's a little weird." And I was like, "Oh, I probably would have just been like,
They're alluding to it.
Jedi walking on top of the stuff, whatever."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can he can interact with stuff though? So what sense does that make? He's fighting Adam Driver the whole time.
No, he's not.
I don't think
He
they
doesn't
ever,
even swing
they never
the
even touched
saber once.
lightsabers.
What about the Millennium Falcon?
This
dice
is the
thing?
first. This is the first Star Wars movie where 2 lightsabers never touch once.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is in the trivia.
Isn't
Isn't that weird?
you wrote?
Isn't that what? Yeah, that I wrote just now.
The red guys, I was like, no, they were all using vibroblades. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then when
And Rey and him fight over to the single lightsaber and break it. That was the other thing,
the
too.
silver stormtrooper versus what's the main guy's name?
Oh, Finn.
Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Finn
he's
and
using
Phasma.
like this like weird
That's
like
another vibro
electronic
club thing.
Yeah.
And they break Luke's lightsaber.
Right, and that's another thing. He's
Destroy it.
fighting with the lightsaber they just broke in the previous scene. And that's another thing my wife caught that I didn't even think about until later. I was like, oh, yeah. She was like, yeah, I was like, someone's got to be up with that scene because that's... Yeah, they're never like he's not leaving footprints.
And his hair is completely different.
Yeah.
He comments on it
I
or
just
something like
assumed he
that,
took a
or
shower
no,
on
she
the way to the
comments on her
planet.
hair. Yeah.
I did like how they're like, how did he even get in here? So there's got to be a way out. And then it's like he actually didn't get in there.
No.
Like, he was just so they're lucky.
I was kind of disappointed though that so he fought in that sequence sort of, but he
Explain
was
to me the
fake.
gold
but
dice
then
before we move on.
But then he just disappeared.
How was Kylo Ren able to touch the dice then?
Able to touch the dice.
Yeah, he picked them up and looked at them, and they
Oh.
disappeared in his hand.
That I don't know. I didn't even realize when he showed the dice in the Millennium Falcon.
It's a
too, and I
trick.
was like,
It's a mind trick,
I was
maybe.
like, is that a Han Solo thing? Like I don't remember these dice.
Yeah,
from
that
something.
was also-
And they,
So
and they eventually,
it's
established
something
it is,
from
but-
something
was
from
it
like
in Force Awakens or
it's from A New Hope actually. He has these like dice that are not even referenced to. No one mentions them whatsoever.
Oh.
So now they're just pulling it back for some
Wow.
reason.
There's a
Okay.
hidden scene where Luke looks very like coyly at the dice, like I'm gonna get those one day.
Yeah.
Those are gonna be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, shit,
Because I read that and I was like, I have no idea what these dice are. You must have to be a serious Star Wars nerd to be like,
Wow,
oh my
yeah,
god,
I
that was in A New
would
Hope.
not have caught that at all. Yeah.
He touches those dice.
Ooh, gets all up.
So
on
does
those
Leia.
dice.
It's
She
a
touches them
it's
dice,
a it's
too.
a
He
mind
gives them
trick.
to
Don't they
Yeah.
hug?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but,
it's all a mind trick. That's Jedi have mind powers.
Why can't he mind trick to have the dust fly up when he walks? Then he just
Why bother? Who cares?
why does he care about the other things?
Here's these die.
He was reconnecting with his sister. He's like, look, let's share a nice thing. Here's the dice.
I was a little bothered that he died after that,
inconsistent.
though.
Yeah, he disappeared.
Well, he
became
disappeared.
one with the
Jedi
dice.
vanished.
Yeah, he
He did an Obi-Wan
I thought he
die.
was gonna Obi-Wan after the laser blasts happened. And
I thought he was
Yes,
gonna
I
Obi-Wan
thought so
too.
too. I thought it was going to be like
Whatever.
it went straight through, and Kylo was going to look back, and it was just going to be a pile of robes.
Yeah.
and then it was just him there, and I was like, oh shoot, like is he just like a god now? I was like, what happened?
Yeah, I thought they were just showing he was like all powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
There's
was
no way to
wondering at
defeat
first. I was
him.
like, oh,
We don't really
geez.
ever see like the ultimate of Luke. I mean, he probably
His
has it
final
at this
form.
point, but yeah, his final form is his Super Saiyan.
I have to. I
Here-
assume
here-
he's coming back as a ghost or like a force, force
Yes,
ghost.
he
I mean,
has to.
Yoda's was made a nice appearance.
I
Yeah,
thought
Yoda-
Yoda was great.
He was a puppet in this movie.
I still want to say something about this Luke Skywalker
Okay,
dying.
yeah.
So I felt that was a weak way to write that sequence. If he was real, that would have been more powerful because
Okay.
it goes back to the same thing that Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan did.
says. He
Yes,
says,
it
if you
did.
strike me down,
I agree.
I will come back even stronger.
Yep.
Him dying alone on a planet with a bunch of old maid dinosaurs is so weak and serves nothing to the story,
Yeah.
and no one sees him die, so there's no way that he grows more powerful in that way.
I would agree. I feel like it was unnecessary. I feel like they could have just
Yeah.
as easily had him there. And you're right. I think it would have been much more powerful if he'd done an Obi-Wan because
Yeah.
it's a direct callback. It's that connection between them, and
I mean, it's super fucking
Inspiring.
cool that
Yeah.
he Jedi mind tricked his way to
Yeah.
this planet and was fake the entire time, but don't kill him. Maybe kill him in the next movie.
yeah. I would.
That was so,
I would agree. I would
so
agree
weak.
completely.
So weak.
A lot of people were upset with this portrayal of Luke as like he might have
He's
killed
upset
Kylo.
as the portrayal.
He
of Luke.
was.
He's on record
He,
saying
he
it.
did also. He also walked that back today. I feel like he realized how big this.
Yeah,
had
he
gotten.
saw his first paycheck for the
So
residuals.
he walked back today. He was like, "Oh,
nah, that movie's real
I'm not
good."
saying that stuff, guys. You
guys should keep seeing that
Don't worry
movie.
about it. Yeah, please.
Well, yeah, he did say when he got the script and read it, he was like, "I disagree with everything that's in this script, but I'll do the movie."
I didn't see, and that's I liked this version of Luke because I didn't want it. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, after they wrapped everything up when they were 28, everything was sun and roses, and
Yeah.
and Luke was great forever and ever. And I'm like, I feel like it's important to be able to show you that, like, even if you experience this amazing growth and like become this wise character, it doesn't mean your struggle's over. Like, you could still fall, you can still make mistakes.
Here's my fix.
Yes.
One of the old maids has a talk with Rey and comments of all these great deeds that Luke has been doing for this 30 missing years or whatever, going around the galaxy, that we never get to see. He's not just hiding out being a scared little pooty cat.
He's just been like...
He's like limiting his like use out there in the world, but when he does use it, he's doing great things with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I need it.
Otherwise, he's just hiding like a scared little pooty cat.
He's hiding like a Yoda.
No, like a pooty cat.
Like a Yoda.
Yeah.
He's just doing a Yoda.
Yoda's weird. That opens up questions for that too.
I loved Yoda.
Why? No, I'm talking about in Empire. Like, why is he hanging out in Dagobah? Now I'm like,
he's probably
now
doing
I'm overthinking too many things.
Well, he goes into hiding because the Jedi is completely
why not go
destroyed.
to somewhere nicer? Or maybe Luke had a nicer planet than the Dagobah system.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's hanging out in a dirty swamp.
He went to like the dirty swamp, and then Luke went to he's like, I'm in New Zealand. Check out this mountain.
He goes like Cancun.
He's like, this is beautiful.
Yeah. He's got the milk.
Like, I'm in Ireland.
I got milk for days.
He's
taking selfies.
He's on Instagram, just like living it up.
There could have been also like deeds in like the book, those mysterious Jedi manuals or whatever.
Yeah,
those could have been like a catalog of all the good deeds Luke has been doing or trying to.
I kind of love that Yoda was like, "Let those Jedi book go," like,
and then they don't.
But then they don't.
They don't.
And then they didn't. Yeah, they were still on the ship, and I was kind of like, "No," because I did like that too. I thought it was great.
I was like, how did that whole tree burn?
Can't lose the books, and Yoda was straight up like, "Burn the books, get out of here."
Yeah,
get down.
I loved it, and then they were like, surprise, the books are really done, and Yoda probably knew that, and I was like, no, I kind of take some
Yoda's
away from that.
way too carefree in this movie.
I loved it.
Like pot is legal now. Yoda is getting high.
He's getting higher than high. He's like, I'm dead, bitches.
Like,
smoke a blunt.
Do what you want,
dog. Me.
Burn those books. More trees.
He's like, I don't care. I'm not living.
I love that they brought back like
Hippie
Empire
Yoda.
Strikes Back Yoda, where he's just being a goofball.
And at first I could not tell if he was a puppet or not.
He was a puppet because the whole time.
Because of the glow.
blue.
Yes, the glow.
The blue glow.
I was trying to find
made
the
him
same
look
thing.
a little bit more CGI, but he
was
didn't
nonstop
look great.
puppet.
And they threw Frank Oz right up on the screen with big letters for it. So
loved it.
Yep,
loved it.
I thought Yoda was great in this. I loved him blowing up that tree and just being like, "Luke, get over it."
I also like Mark Hamill's acting better in those scenes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they really turned a corner. Like he was maybe more committed to doing them. Or
the interesting thing is that like they show Mark Hamill, he's like disgruntled. He doesn't care about the Jedi. He just wants to live in this in solitude, basically. But you don't get the motivation for that for so long.
Yeah,
like you don't get it until you see that he was
just
training
grumpy guy for a while, and then
he was training Kylo Ren or whatever his name is, Ben, and he like noticed that he was like has a very evil dark side, and then he was like, oh my god, I'm training this guy who could potentially be evil. So you don't get that for a very long time, which is kind of unsatisfying.
Yeah, I think they could have brought it to you earlier, and I think it would have helped ease an audience into that, because it is just grumpy guy Luke for a while, and you're like, why is he like? I understand that he had like this traumatic thing happened, because they give you the basics of like Kylo Ren killed all of his students except for like the Knights of Ren, who you still don't see at all.
Yeah, we should see that.
And then like I get that, and I get that he's probably upset about it, but like they give you nothing about it, just him being grumpy for a long time, and it was sort of like can we wrap this up almost? But in general, I thought it was fine. I didn't have any problems with the Luke in this movie. And I
don't have any problems with this character. I just wish that he was doing something more than just like
hanging out
a
on
ton
an
of dialogue.
Also, probably as an actor, it probably is more fun to like hang out with your friends or people other than like Rey the whole movie. Isn't until like the very end where he gets to like actually talk to someone else.
You're right. Interact with
physically interact with someone.
Right. So.
Oh man, and it's kind of funny in the trivia. It said that since they're on that giant mountain, they had to walk up that mountain every day to shoot, and so Mark Hamill like tried his best to just sleep in one of those buildings, but then they were like because they were shooting in Ireland or something like that, and whoever was overseeing that production from Ireland was like, you can't do that. So he was like forced to walk up these stairs.
Yeah.
He tried to sleep up there.
I can see it being just a bummer of a time on set. Probably rainy and cold, and you're just hanging out with Daisy Ridley the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
Bunch of
it's
crew.
visually appealing, but as an actor, yeah, if you gotta climb up a giant mountain just to do a scene of dialogue.
He wasn't acting. He was just grumpy.
Yeah.
He's just grumpy Mark Hamill the whole time.
I didn't realize Mark Hamill's that grumpy. I watched tons and tons of interviews, and he just doesn't seem like a very happy
He's
person.
insightful about things.
He's insightful, yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem
Specifically
like he's
about
a happy
acting
Star
and
Wars
things.
person.
He loves talking about every other acting job he's ever had other than Star Wars.
Like if you watch I Know That Voice, the documentary about voice acting.
Yeah.
Everything he does in that is very much like he gets so into talking about the like craft of acting in general, including voice acting. And it's really neat. And then you see sometimes where he talks about like Star Wars stuff, we're doing this, and you're just like, he just seems real burned out on Star Wars. Which is understandable.
Yeah, I'd be.
Yeah.
I definitely would be. I feel like at this point too, I'd be like,
Jeez, after
it's too
40
much.
years, 50 years,
But
40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time
Yeah.
to just live in one universe.
Right.
Because I bet aside from Joker and Star Wars, can you name any other Mark Hamill movies?
Jane Silent Bob Strike Back.
Star Wars, bitches.
You got him, Brad.
Even that movie has Star Wars in it.
I don't know. I know he voice acts like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He never stops, but in terms of big roles, I guess that's it.
That is it.
I'm sure he's gonna watch this and he's gonna be furious.
He'd be like, I was in.
He's gonna send
He
us.
can't even
an
think of
angry
a movie
We
letter.
did a
himself.
lot of theater. Well, that'd be my
Probably.
summation.
Yeah.
It could be. I do think the big fix for this would have been snip a lot of the casino. I didn't need it. You could have rewritten it as in like, hey, we have this like.
We need a cantina scene, Andy.
You could have made
all
it.
the other movies have cantina scenes.
You
we
could have
need
made it
one.
like a thing where the admiral lady that takes over for Leia is like worried that there's an Imperial spy on the ship, and that's why she won't tell anybody.
That
the
was something that
plan.
they should have followed through with.
I think they should have done that.
Because that would have been a reason for her not to divulge her plan.
Yeah.
Which there was no reason for her not to do that, but that would have been the reason had it existed.
I mean, within the the meta context of the movie, it makes sense in that Poe needs to learn that you have
to trust
being
authority.
the hero isn't always the answer. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm the hero, so I can fix it. Like he had to learn, like, it's a team effort. And I get it in that sense, but it did result in a lot of unnecessary deaths that could have been avoided if she'd just been like, let's go talk in the broom closet real quick. I'll explain this to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
we
just
have
like-
a plan. We're leaving
but
here.
yeah, talk about that, and then like you could still have them like come up with this plan. Like maybe they have like this code breaker in like a jail on the ship, and they're like, we can use him to get into the other ship and do it that way. I thought it ruined the pacing to keep cutting to the casino stuff, and
that
it felt
subplot C.
way too episode 1 for a lot of it.
Very.
I think
recorded.
chopping that like half hour out of this movie, I think would have been a big improvement.
We need to put Finn doing something. He's a
Yes.
main character.
I actually almost expected
Gotta make him do something.
I almost expected
He's the
them
Han
to just
Solo.
have him be healing the entire movie. I thought that would have been another funny subversion where you're like, I can't wait to see what Finn does, and then he's just in like a tank the whole time with his back still healing. You're like, oh, nothing.
I forgot where we left him in Force Awakens.
He was unconscious. He got sliced
stabbed
in the
real
back
good.
by Kylo Ren.
Okay.
In the fight, and so
Got
they
stabbed
carried him
really
onto this. Yeah, they carried him on the Millennium Falcon, and then put him in a big
Then
tank.
Rey gives him a smooch before he goes under.
He goes in the tank, the Luke tank. But yeah, I mean, these are gripes, and there's plenty of like, why use these tactics, or why does technology work this way?
Yeah.
And I think that's overthinking things too much.
Right. I think here's the thing: like, you're never going to end up with a perfect movie.
No, you're never
and
gonna.
you're
Yeah,
never
there's
gonna
always
have
gonna be
people
in any
be happy
sci-fi.
with
There's always
everything.
gonna be why doesn't X work like Y?
Right.
And I think it's too, you get too deep into it trying to figure that out, and you're gonna overthink it and ruin it for yourself. So I had a great time watching this in the theater.
Yeah, I think
had
we
so
end up
much
with
fun.
a very fun movie.
I knew I
still.
would because I loved watching the prequels. In
I was a little bored in the middle of this movie. I was just a little bored.
yeah,
I can see that because
yeah,
it is
I-
long.
it
That slow
doesn't-
chase scene
yeah.
and then the
It is
casino
long.
stuff and then Luke,
I
Luke being
wouldn't fault anyone for feeling that
Luke
way.
being I don't want to train you, then immediately I'll train you.
And I
Like,
think-
what did we go through?
Right.
this?
And I think it's a good thing that they pull you back with giving you the hyperspace jump, the crazy Kurosawa fight. Like, they do a great job of ramping that back up. And then, like, the pretend Hoth fight on the planet that I was surprised happened because I thought it was going to end after the Kurosawa fight.
How did Finn and Rose get onto the ship?
They took the Benicio del Toro cloaked their ship,
Uh-huh.
and they flew into, like, a vent
Oh, okay.
on the big ship.
That's something I forgot.
Yep.
Oh,
'Cause I was like, how the hell did they get in there?
Cloaking. That's why, like, when
And
Benicio del
it
Toro
was
cuts
all
that
a
deal,
trap,
he
though,
reveals the
right?
cloaked shuttles.
It was
No.
It was sort of a trap.
It
Like
was,
Benicio
yes.
was leading them into a
Benicio
trap.
del Toro sold them out.
He
Yes.
sold them out after they got caught, but it was not a
Okay.
trap up to that point.
I don't know.
I thought that it was a
I might have been a
Benicio
trap the
trap.
whole time.
Because he straight up says, he was like, look, we tried it, we got caught, and I cut a deal. And that's, like, he says straight up,
Okay.
like, I cut the deal, and then I told them about the cloaking, so then now they can see the shuttles, and now they're going to murder all of them. And then they killed, like, 1,000 resistance people. Oh,
They screwed up.
which is why, like, yeah,
screwed
that's,
up, Doug.
that is one of those things that frustrates me every time someone's complaining about there were no consequences for the casino stuff. And I was like, straight up, like, 1,000 people died because of that. Like, that's the reason they could see the cloaked shuttles.
Rebel Alliance is full of Millennium Falcons.
Yes.
Enough crew for right now. They are the Guardians of the Galaxy up in that ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't clear how Rey, like, she got dropped off by the Millennium Falcon, who jumped away. Then she fights, they do the Kylo Ren stuff, and then she just sort of shows up on the Millennium Falcon on the Salt Planet to pick them up. And I was like, when did she get back on the Millennium Falcon?
How does she get
How did that happen?
captured?
She-
In the Star Destroyer? How did she...
The Chewbacca warps in, and they shoot her out in the little one-person pod, and then he warps away. And
Oh,
so
okay.
she just, like, goes onto the ship.
Yeah, where does she go? Because that star base...
She was on Snoke's
That
ship,
ship
yeah.
gets destroyed with the
Yeah.
lightspeed attack, and it's like...
Right.
Every
and all
stormtrooper
you
but
see-
Finn and Rose die.
Yeah, all you see after
Yeah.
that is the Finn and Rose stuff, and then, like, you forget about Rey after that, and then she shows up in the Millennium Falcon. I was like, when did, like, I guess Chewie came back and picked her up, but I don't know. That was sort of like one of those. I didn't think about it until later, and I don't think it's that big a deal, but I was kind of like, it was a little. I guess what happened, but I didn't really need to see it. Didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's plenty of holes in the movie. That's for sure. There's definitely stuff that could be improved, written better. But overall, I really liked what they did with it. So I had a big fun time, and I'm probably gonna see it again, and I'll probably buy it when it comes out.
And then, are you going to go see the Ryan Johnson Star Wars trilogy that's going to eventually come out? So he did this movie and then basically got his own trilogy.
Yeah,
For a different series or what?
For a different Star Wars
for 3 more
storyline.
Star Wars movies.
Yeah, it doesn't
The
say whether or
side
not it's
stories?
like
That's what
10,
I'm not
11,
sure
12,
if they're
or
just gonna give them a bunch of those Star Wars story movies.
Yeah.
What do you guys? How you guys feeling about the upcoming Han Solo?
I don't care.
Well,
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care. When I know characters aren't gonna die in a movie, I get I'm out of it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Any kind of stakes or like any kind of danger Han and Lando in aren't real.
Yeah.
Because they live.
I
can't take that out.
not
I
all
can't-
movies have those stakes.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna happen though. There's gonna be danger where they're gonna die, but they're not gonna die. So
Yeah,
it's gonna pull me
I
out
guess
of the movie.
we'll
true.
have to
That's
see.
true.
I know that they went through literally the longest audition process in movie history to find Han Solo for this.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how the end product shoots out when they had the guys they directed like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, they
and
kicked
stuff.
those people out because they didn't
They
agree.
many
pretty
jokes.
much they'd like shot the whole movie, and yet like
Yeah.
that they screened it for like the Lucasfilm brass, and suddenly they're like, okay, let's go back and not do this.
Mr. Ron Howard, could you please come into our
Senor-
office?
yeah, Senor Ronald Howard.
hated it apparently.
And I'm like, reshoots. I'm like, what are they going to salvage out of all?
That's
of
the only
this?
interesting thing is because George Lucas and Ron Howard were buds, and Ron Howard learned a lot from George Lucas.
Okay.
And Ron Howard was in a George Lucas movie with
And-
with American Graffiti.
And George Lucas wrote Willow, which Ron Howard directed.
That's so weird.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and now they're kind of like come full circle where he's doing a Star Wars film.
I really would have liked to see a Ron Howard like full development, I guess, movie. I'm curious to know. I don't know how much is going to be his and how much will be salvaged from the original production, but I mean,
that means there's like a whole nother movie out there.
Right. That we
done.
won't see. We're gonna and I'm really interested. I'm curious to see how it turns out. It could be a disaster. It could be pretty interesting.
I think people are really waiting for a Boba Fett movie, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that is
clamoring.
like the
and,
movie.
and I almost wonder if that's a reason not to do it.
Then we get a Jango Fett movie. Let's go. C-3PO gets his own movie. Let's do it. R2-D2. Where did he come from? We already know that from the first movie.
Wait a second.
Yeah, we do know that.
Do you guys have a story in Star Wars that you'd want to see?
Andy, we're not.
Jabba.
I'm not nerdy enough to really.
Young Jabba.
I want to see a Rogue Squadron movie. I want to see just a straight up X-wings the whole time movie. Like I've been loving all the current dogfighting. Like
I'll just cut together every single.
Are great.
I'll just cut together every single
I've
space battle.
I've watched those. They exist for all of them, and they're great. I watch them all the time. It's just the space battle scenes cut together, and I'm like, this is cool. I'd watch 2 hours of this. I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. So, yeah.
All right.
Sums up a lot of feelings about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have any parting words? I know you're like the grump over there. You're like the grumpus. The grumpus.
Boo.
Oh, God.
Boo,
I knew he was going to say it.
Boo.
I knew he was going to say it.
Boo. Boo, 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 boo.
We did this wrong. We should have had Brad on this side. I should have been on that side, and then Andy's in the middle. And we're trying to convince you. Either way.
Convince me?
Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't really need that convincing, but I guess. But
Yeah. I liked it.
I know we all liked it.
It was too prequel-y.
Too
It
prequel.
reminded me of episodes 2 and 3.
Oh, no.
Yes, it did.
Not at all.
It really, really did.
I got episode
Totally
1 out of it,
agree.
and just the
Super
casino.
did.
I thought the rest of it was fine. I thought just the casino stuff felt too Gungan-y.
Yeah.
Especially the chocobos. But yeah. I liked it.
Let us know what your opinion is
Yeah.
of the new Star Wars.
How do they do that?
Twitter.
Twitter.com or at What We Remember.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/What We Remember.
Yeah. That's the, yeah.
What Remember podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah.
If you want to email us.
Yeah, you can do that. Or you can just comment on the YouTube video, you know?
That'll
Facebook
work.
comments are always a great place for civil discourse.
We will read your comments.
We will. We're
You just
very
have to
bored and
comment.
lonely.
It's going to be our goal in like 2018 is to get just more
One
interactivity. Literally any activity. Just someone saying
Someday,
hi to
Brad.
us.
Someday. In a galaxy far, far away.
What was the crawl for this? Was it anything important? I remember being really short.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole
It was
lot.
like a
It was basically
paragraph.
just like, you know, the Republic's dead. The First Order rules now. The Resistance
And
is
there's
still
only
there.
one Jedi left.
Go! And then that's it. Yeah, it was...
Yeah, there isn't. This movie's a lie. There's 2 Jedi at the end, and there's more Jedi coming.
They were the
No,
last of the
it's-
Jedi. Well, actually, you know, because
He's the last trained Jedi.
he's the last trained Jedi, yeah, because he refuses to train Rey as a Jedi. He just gives her his new version of his
But-
Jedi 2.0
but then-
training.
But she got them
But
books.
then Kylo
though.
Ren is
yeah,
was
she does
trained.
have them books. So
And
we'll
Snoke
see.
and Snoke probably trained Kylo Ren in some
Yeah.
way.
I don't even know
As
what
a
kind of
Sith,
powers
bro.
Snoke has.
That's the honestly answering your question. Sith. I want to see a Sith film.
But they're dead now. There is no more Sith.
Well, we can just go do a prequel.
Han Solo's a prequel. You can do prequels now.
okay.
All
It,
bets
it
are off.
would,
I'd watch that.
It
All
would
bets
be interesting
are
to
off.
do like a Sith villain main character movie.
One of the
Yes.
things I do,
Yes.
one of the things I do enjoy about like I don't know if you guys have ever played the Old Republic games, Knights of the Old Republic, but that's like the whole point is that like you part of it is you're playing on essentially the bad guy side. Like there are a bunch of Siths coming in, and there's like a ton of Sith, and I think it's kind of a neat being able to see the other side of the coin where you're like, oh, we're used to the world where there's a million Jedis running around, and there's like, oh, 2 Siths at any given moment. And in Knights of the Old Republic, it's sort of like, no, you're fighting against like this army of like hundreds of thousands of Sith dudes plus regular troop dudes.
What's the Old Republic? Is that like even prequel to the prequel
Yes,
series?
it's like 1,000 years before the prequel movies or something.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
A lot of
Do
fun.
it.
Get it.
Knights of the Old
Do
Republic
it.
1 and 2. Play them. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
We don't give a Sith. Prequel title.
I'll give it.